When we think of Spider-Man and how he changed comics, we tend to think in terms of character and story. His youth, his inexperience, his quippy humor, his fallibility are all things that set him apart from other superheroes. But there's one other major way in which Spidey revolutionized what we thought possible for a superhero to do and be: his design. When Spider-Man first debuted in 1962 in Amazing Fantasy 15, the aesthetic of superhero design was built around the typical manly ideal of the time. Brawny, muscle-bound adult men who could throw cars, or convincingly punch Hitler, all blocky shapes and straight lines. Even speedsters like the Flash and the Human Torch had torsos like brick walls and legs like an Olympic wrestler. Then along came a spider, who changed what we thought a hero could look like. Steve Ditko's art was as unique and unexpected as the character himself. Frankly, it was weird. Spider-Man behaved in ways readers had never seen, his body moving in an unnatural manner, flipping and twisting in the air, all bent legs and flailing arms. And this was enhanced by the unconventional build of Peter Parker himself. He was lanky where other superheroes were burly, a scrawny teenager often dwarfed by the size of the villains he faced. Decades later, Todd McFarlane became the preeminent Spider-Man artist.
Spider-Man here, forget what the dialogue says. For the moment. I know he's not saying pass the tea and crumpet though.
His art redefined the character, and once again, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man reinvigorated the idea of what was possible in comic book art. Through McFarlane, Spidey's design became even more over the top, going all in on his spider-like aspects. McFarlane moved the hero's aesthetic beyond the realistic, Peter Parker's body contorting in bizarre ways. A decade later, the possibilities presented by advancements in mocap technology and CGI combined with the elegant physics of Spider-Man to introduce moviegoers to an entirely new kind of superhero movie. Much like with comic books in decades past, superheroes in the movies of the late 90s and early 2000s were fairly similar in how they moved, even with kinetic fight scenes and computer-generated special effects behind them. But Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies took us on a ride. Audiences looped and swooped with Spidey, spun and kicked as the web-slinger ping-ponged between buildings and inside subway cars. We drank it in, and Raimi's movies went on to become one of the most beloved trilogies of all time, thanks largely to the soaring movement and freewheeling aesthetic that set them apart from other comic book films. There is a reason, after all, that scientists have studied Spider-Man in motion like no other superhero before or since. In fact, physicists still use the clip of Spidey's web slingshot from Spider-Man 2 to teach lessons on the conservation of energy and projectile motion. But even with modern advancements in CGI, Spider-Man's motion is so complex that it's tricky to get right on screen. The Amazing Spider-Man franchise actually brought in a physics consultant to ensure Spidey's swings obeyed the laws of physics, and to make sure his physics-defying acrobatics weren't so inhuman that they took audiences out of the story. With Spider-Man Homecoming, Marvel pushes the physics and design of its web-slinging wall crawler even further, and we will again watch with wonder as a 15-year-old kid from Queens flips in his convoluted way across the screen, taking for granted that he will effortlessly do the things that no other superhero can do, simply because he's Spider-Man, and it's what he's always done.